Yo. Alright, what's up? I'm going to try and keep this video as quick as I can. This is just a quick tournament report uh, based on my first locals being able to play my my like new theory version of like the Mermail Atlantean deck. Now, obviously a lot of this stuff changes when the new support comes out in February, but we're still playtesting and messing with it now, especially because this will be my last opportunity to play the deck like this before the new White Aura and Goatee cards come out. So, just gonna run over the deck real quickly. Um, uh, for starters, this is all standard. One card starters. Still maxing out. Love 1 for 1. Loved Love Prince. Diva's still weird, when you play it as your first action, because it's like if it gets hand trapped, your turn will just stop, and so that felt a little odd, and so playing around that was weird. But Diva's still amazing. It's a great follow up card. It's great pushing into a board, and then obviously if you have like minstrel or a way to try and bait hand traps and then go into the Diva, that's really good as well. So yeah, and then obviously max out Dragoons. These are pseudo starters, because they work with all of our cards that discard water. Because if you don't open Prince, these are the best ways. These are the best other cards we can open to get to Prince. And so we're maxing out on Dragoons, which is obvious. And then Deep Sea Aria. I still really like Deep Sea Aria. Definitely still playing at 3. It performed great. Being able to like search additional Dragoons, being able to search Prince, search Diva, even search like an infantry is just crazy. And minstrels as well. So like this card has a bunch of utility, and we're always maxing out, even though there's the once per turn clause. Yeah, so those cards definitely stay the same. For this tournament, I did play 42 cards, and that was definitely changing after getting this playtime in. For discard outlets, it's 3 minstrel, two ice shade rans, 3 ice shade rans, 2 cradles, 3 Teus, 2 megalo, and pike. So real quick, some of these ratios will definitely be changing. So starting off, minstrel was a great discard outlet. Being able to make our first action, like minstrel, discard a water, spike snipe a droll or a nib or an ash, but before they can stop us is awesome. And then the being a level 3 tuner is great, and being able to recycle waters is great. So this is honestly, Minstrel's just honestly a phenomenal card. And this is mainly the card that we're summoning off of our Diva on like turn 3. Like turn 3, normal summon Diva, special Minstrel. Minstrel will put back a Dragoons, and then you can either go into an enemy to go into a Prince that's now online, or it just works with your level 7s, making level 10 synchros. So yeah, so Minstrel was great. No changes there. Ice Shade ran did well. And like this definitely is like the best card you have into Droll. I think because originally I was trying out 3 Cradle and three Rans, but that was too much, too clunky, and I was just opening too many like 1 to 2 to like 3 Ice Shades, and that was just too much in one hand. And because what was really coming up was the fact that Ran is it's a once per turn summon, and so if even if we open the Ran, which is a good thing, it just means that if we're opening multiple copies and they're not getting used for anything, then it just kind of feels bad, like you have less cards to play with. So while I did like the 5 count, and since I am moving this deck from 42 to 40, I think one of the cradles will definitely need to leave. And it did come up a couple times where I would draw a cradle and I would have a Ran that I couldn't get rid of in my graveyard, and so I would make that cradle a dead card. And so I think moving forward, I will be cutting one of the cradles and then just playing 3 Ice Shades and playing 1 cradle. You'd rather open the Ice Shade every time than ever open a cradle, just because it's a live water body, and it's one less card that you need to that potentially might droll you, because if you open the cradle and you search, I did get drolled doing that. And so I think this count will probably be preferred. Even opening multiples isn't that bad, but this should lower the amount of times we do open multiples, and when we do open multiples, it shouldn't be as many copies. But I mean, all in all, Ice Shade Ran was performed really well, especially like on a follow up. Just being able to make another level 10 synchro for free was awesome. So yeah, we like this a lot, but we are bringing down the consistency to 4. Moving forward, Teus stays at 3 of. This is like one of your best combo starters in the deck. It does play into Joel a little harder than the Ice Shade does, but but Teus was great. So, and if you do go Teus, like Pitch Dragoons, you're still gonna get 2 searches off that before they draw you, because Teus will be on summon effect to add a Mermail, and so you'll add a Mermail and you'll add a card off of Dragoons, and so that's nice. But yeah, so we're still maxing out the Teuses. That will not be changing going forward. And then real quickly here, I last second I switched to 2 Megalo, somewhat for the same reason as like infantry, where I noticed there are a lot of times where on your first combo you'll use Megalo and then the follow up you want a second Megalo to go for game. That never came up today. Also, another reason I played 2 Megalos because I was having some test hands where I would go Minstrel Summon and effect to mill, and I would mill my 1 Megalo, and all of a sudden I lose my Sea Serpent. That kind of like, this is the kind of card that like allows me to go for game. It allows me to make a level 10 synchros on my worst hands, and so I thought I wanted to play 2, but I don't think the second one, at least at this locals, the second one never came up, and I just don't think my main combos are going to be actually like searching a Megalo. Like only my worst hands are searching a Megalo on my first turn to use it for a combo, and so like I feel like I also, the other changes I'll be making will also make Megalo less necessary to run as a 2 because we'll have more level 7s, which I'll get to in a moment. But I think the 3 Teus and the 4 Ice Shades are enough level 7s that let me get the level 10 synchros. That I don't think the second Megalo is necessary. At least for the next locals I'll be trying with just 1. So this will definitely be cut as well. Pike's actually a really interesting card. Pike, I felt like is doing really well for me, and I've also noticed that even if I open Pike and like Diva Prince, that those are still pretty favorable hands, because it means that I can get into my Abyss Keeper and I can make a rank 4 play to get into the Totally Awesome. Not to mention that actually opening like Pike with Megalo or just having combination of ways to use Teus and Pike to get to a level 10 synchro that way, just because Pike searches the Crusadia, the level 3 Crusadia in this deck rather than Gund. So if I was opening like Pike in Megalo or just opening Teus in a way to get to Pike and then get him on field, whether through Abyss Keeper or normal summoning, that felt really nice. So I really like Pike, and I'm actually looking at Pike to bump to 2 at the moment. It's definitely one of the changes I want to make. But yeah, so I'll get to right now, like the deck currently after this build is after this testing session is 41 cards, and the 41st card is a second Pike. I don't know if I can fit it in to make the deck 40, but I definitely feel like after this event I really want to go back to 40. But yeah, Pike felt really good, and I would not mind just opening up with Dragoons is really impactful as well, because opening Dragoon's Pike allows to play around hand traps, and it's really hard for your opponent to interrupt you, or at least like it doesn't seem like your opponent's never gonna like really want to just interrupt the Pike, because they know that a level 3 water isn't too much of a threat when they need to be like keeping their negates for Diva, for Prince, or for Dragoon searches. And so it just always felt free whenever I would open like Pike Dragoons, because then you can add Prince Minstrel and then look at their hand, snipe the hand trap that they didn't use, or take the nib, and then you make a rank 4 play. And that actually came up where they had Ash nib, and I was able to go Pike just Dragoons, add Minstrel Prince, and then Minstrel ditches Prince. I snipe the Ash, and then I go into on 5th summon Bahamut Toad play, and so now I can just go through my combos at that point, make an enemy, and whenever they decide to nib me, I use Totally Awesome, and to negate it, and so that was really cool. And so yeah, I think I want to play more Pike, not 3 copies, but I definitely think 2. I think if I play 3, though, I'll have too many normal summons in the deck. And I also there was a few hands where I opened Pike and Teus, and so it made the Teus feel a lot worse. And so I wouldn't mind having the 2 Pikes, just so that way Teus is getting more value in searching cards, or searching a Pike if I already opened it. Onto the 1-ofs. Other Sea Serpent targets, Lapis and Mulan. Lapis, you have to play it. It's a great card. not much to be said there. Moulin, though, I want to say, did honestly perform really, really well. I really liked it. Destroying or hand ripping hands, which is awesome. I never really felt bad about linking it off and losing my next battle phase, because at that point it would just feel like I already had the game anyways. And there was also a game, I think, versus Drytron, where I could have linked this. I could have used this for a synchro or actually summon to have a stronger board, and I didn't. And yeah, I don't know. I think the Moulin's, at least in this list right now, is pretty good. And being a level 8 with being able to work with Diva being level 2 to make a level 10 synchro is pretty relevant. Yeah, so other sea serpents were playing the two infantries. This felt amazing. I definitely did not regret playing two of these. It came out multiple times where I needed to have all the Atlantean targets in my deck, and yeah, so I really like two infantry, and so that will stay going forward. And then two other one-ofs. Crusadia, this is my search target for Pike. This card felt great. I never missed Gunned. This was always the better level 3, and yeah, this helped me go into full combos and whatnot. So we like Crusadia a lot. And then Abysscale, I put this in because I figured if I'm going to play two Megalos, then it'll be more likely that I'm opening Megalo or utilizing Megalo. And in my test hands, I noticed I was ending on Lacia, and I was searching the spell with the Megalo. But what ended up happening in an actual tournament was the fact that all those test hands where I would add the Abysscale and use the Megalo and do the full combos and whatnot. Those are all hands where my first action was like normal summon Diva, and it was like just assuming I'm not getting interrupted. And so when in reality when I was playing it at actual tournament, if I have Prince and Diva in my hand, and I'm probably just normal summoning the Prince instead of normal summoning the Diva. Because the Prince can play through a hand trap, but the Diva can't. And so the Abysscale never actually came up for me. I don't think I searched it a couple times, but I never actually used it for anything. And I opened this card like 3 or 4 games, and so this card really just felt like a huge brick. And I don't think I'm gonna play it going forward. It's definitely, or at least it definitely will not be in the main deck. Maybe it gets sided and it gets put in when I know my opponent is on something like a main deck like Droplet or Dark Rulers or Super Polys. Then maybe I put the Abysscale in. But at the moment, the Abysscale felt really, really bad, and it's currently getting cut from the main deck. Onto defensive cards. We were playing 9 defensive cards, and playing the 9 defensive cards felt great. It felt great because I think I almost always consistently opened 1 to 2 hand traps, and that felt awesome. And I will still be at 9 defensive cards going forward when the deck's at 40. But so my non-engine I should be opening, it should be even better. But what I will say is I did switch out the Fenrir's and the tier cache engine last second to just commit fully to the hand traps, and I switched it for Drolls. And I will say that the Droll pick was huge. The Droll felt honestly like the best card of the day. It felt like if I opened Droll in my hand, I just felt like I was just gonna like there's no way my opponent could do too much to me for me to go second and break their board. And then also Ash. Ash felt fine. It felt at times it felt huge, and then at other times it felt like very low impact. Like if this was the only hand trap I opened, it did feel low impact in that regard. And so Ash is a little weird, but I feel like I just have to respect the decks where like this can't just end their turn. And so I feel like in that retrospect, I have to keep maining the Ashes. But I don't know, the Ashes are weird. Maybe they get cycled out. But what I will say is the imperms. I did main imperms. I do think imperms will need to get cycled out, because when I would only open imperm as my one hand trap, that felt the most least impactful. And yeah, I don't know, and maybe these are interchangeable because there's different arguments for why you would just play imperms or just play Ashes. I think going forward, I'm at least going to try and just mating the Ashes. I think imperms will get moved to the side deck, but then taking up the slots of the imperms is going to be the Fenrir package. Last second, I did also get my tier cache, by the way, so I do have the water target now for the cache engine. I did take this out last second. I was afraid that if this if Fenrir wasn't a hand trap, then my opponents would just be going full combo, and my shitty water deck couldn't play through whatever their board is, and so I did wuss out of the Fenrirs last second. I do regret that. I do think that the Fenrirs would have been great. Especially just because how many times I got drolled, like going first, just being able to have a Fenrir on board and then play would have just been insane. Fenrir works really well with like opening like Pike if I want to like use the Fenrir to make a level 10 synchro, because the Pike will search the Crusadia and level 3, level 7, they'll work together. Or if I get drolled, and I haven't normal diva'd yet, I can normal diva and then go like Minstrel, and then Minstrel and Fenrir can make a level 10 there. And then I can banish the Fenrir from my graveyard to special the Tier Cache that I potentially have in my hand, and then use like Tier Cache and Diva to make the Little Knight. Under droll, just like depending on the cards I have. But yeah, the Fenrir cards felt really good, or felt like they would have been really good, and I should have mained these. I should have played these, and I will from here on out. The Ashes, I'm not too sure. The Drolls and Fenrirs definitely go in the main deck, and I think I just have to respect the power of Ash and the fact they can just stop turns. And so I will be. This is what I think I'll be playing going forward for non-engine. And so so this list alone at the moment without the second Pike in the deck, this is 40, and I think this is actually a really nice list, and so whether I actually like main the Pike or not, I'm not too sure yet. But yeah, so this right here is 40 cards. Just real quick again, cards I cut. The Imperm felt a little low, impactful. The Scale was dead every time, and I never used it. The second Megalo never came up, and the second Cradle did conflict with the fact that I would have the Ice Shade in the graveyard, and so I would like draw a Cradle for turn, and it just would be like, it'd just be dead, and then nothing I could do with it. But yeah, so that's the main deck currently. Extra deck, Zealantis. In theory, it's good. Never made it. 2 Little Knights. In theory, the Little Knight is just so strong and so broken that you want to play 2. Turns out the second one never came up. Maybe it would have in other games, but at least in this tournament, it never came up. 2 enemies. An enemy was great. I think an enemy, the second enemy would have came up more than a second Little Knight ever would have. But it's hard to say. The second copies of either of these cards never actually came up, but in terms of like how I'm changing the extra deck, there's only one card I'm adding at the moment, and so I don't know if both of these go, or if I still play one of these at 2. I haven't decided yet, but yeah, I mean, these cards obviously are amazing. An enemy, I use it almost every match. I think I use this every match. But I just don't know if the second copies are actually required. Especially Little Knight. The second Little Knight was never even came up. The second enemy had opportunities to come up. Abyss Keeper, you just kind of need it for the combos with Pike to make a rank 4 play. Alacia, I don't think Alacia ever actually came up, but this is the card you play on your worst hands. But there is a theory behind the fact that the same worst hands that are going to just end on Alacia are the same worst hands that are just going to end on Little Knight. And so I'm not sure if Alacia is just irrelevant in the deck, or if Alacia is technically the second Little Knight. Also, without playing Scale, Alacia becomes not as good. But if you do have the additional waters and you're able to end on Alacia as well as a Little Knight, and you can have the infantry, or if you get water locked and so you can't make Little Knight, but you can still make the Alacia, and then have an infantry in hand, that's pretty relevant. And it does first follow up, which isn't bad. But Alacia, at least for this local, is just never came up. Link Rebo, you have to play it for the combo for water manipulation to get Moonland Glacier on board, and so that came up, and I would definitely keep that. Bahamut, Toad, definitely keep this for the Pike Prince combos. And then my level 10s, Baron was amazing. I actually ended up making the Ice Shade Synchro more than I was making the Sword Soul. I think a lot of it was because I was afraid that I would maybe like make the Sword Soul and then get nibbed on certain hands, or I also like the fact that I didn't like that the Sword Soul Synchro, this card's interaction was only gonna work with other cards, like my Little Knight has to banish a card, or has to activate to banish a card pretending to be online. or my opponent has to do something for the chaining to be online. So I just felt like if I was just making, especially if I was just making one card and I wasn't sure if my board was going to go through, I wanted to make the Ice Shade Synchro just because of the recursion factor and the fact that if my opponent plays it all, it can just come back to the board. And not to mention, I can also use this card to link climb and then still technically have the interruption because it'll just be in my graveyard and then come back to the field once they start playing. But the chaining is still strong, and I'm definitely still gonna play it. I just don't know. I just need to like maybe just commit more to just making the Sword Soul and giving that more testing. Because I think I was just afraid to make it more than the Ice Shade Synchro. But the Ice Shade Synchro did do it pretty well. Although I did learn that I was somewhat incorrect about how I was utilizing this card. The fact that the Ice Shade does not banish cards, it's responding to that activate in the hand, definitely did come up a couple times, and so I just need to be better about playing around that. Yeah, so the level 10s, they don't change at all. I don't need any additional level 10s, and these all did just fine. And then my last two synchros here, this was like a last minute change I did. I took out the Coral Dragon and a Typhon I was planning on playing. Because I wanted a one card diva to Baron, and like simplify game states, or for follow up, or if I wanted to like bait hand traps or bait a nib. This felt like the best line. Not to mention the Stardust gave me a draw, and I could I can either like go minstrel and because basically what you would do is you just go Diva into Prince, send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and then you basically just have a choice if you want to go. It's like depending on the hand, but let's say you go. So real quick, let's go Diva, effect, special Prince. Prince will send Dragoons to add Dragoons, and then if you want to go the safe route, you go Minstrel, and then you go Minstrel, pinch Dragoons, look at their hand, and then you add Lapis, or you can just add the Lapis and have the Dragoons in your hand for other cards, and so that's depending on like what the hand looks like. But then if you do keep the Dragoons in your hand, you go Lapis, special, and then you Synchro off to make a level 6. Now you get to draw another card, and now you can take these two, Synchro into Axel, and then Axel will bring back the Diva, and now you're making your Baron. And so. And I think I did use that a couple times at this tournament, so it definitely felt good. I definitely plan on playing these cards again. They make Diva a one card Baron plus draw, and like your worst, most simplest hands. Assuming you can just play your cards, but you have nothing but Diva. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad. So yeah, I like these two cards a lot, and I plan on keeping. So the only card I actually plan on, like I know I want to add to the extra deck is the Water Charmer. I need the Water Charmer because I noticed that there were some times where I was getting stuck with monsters on board that weren't water, and I had no way of like either being able to link off or synchro them. And there also be times where I already had Little Knight on board, and so. Or if I needed to get the Little Knight out of my my extra deck zone, so I could just continue to play because of a Little Knight's arrows are really awkward, and I'm really bad at activating the Little Knight before my opponent passes, so it leaves my extra deck zone, so I can actually have that a space available. Because there were a lot of times where I want to go into an enemy and I can't do it because my Little Knight is stuck in my extra deck zone, and so this card feels like this would help with that problem. Also, being able to use monsters that are not water on my side of the field to just link off into water to use for better cards. Yeah, I think I want to add the Water Charmer. Not to mention that there will be neat interactions where my opponent will have water monsters that I can take with the Charmer to link climb into whatever. But yeah, so in terms of the extra deck, what I know is probably leaving is the second Little Knight. Maybe the Anemone. And so maybe this is just the extra deck where I play 2 Anemone, I play the Water Charmer, and then everything else as standard. But then the only other card I'm like really considering is I am considering like cutting second enemy for maybe a Typhon, although I don't think I need it. I think it's just like a safe, like an insurance card. I'm also thinking like the Zealantis and enemy feel weird, and so maybe like these two cards can become different, become more like generic link cards, like Nightmare Unicorn and Access Code Talker, but the but then I am losing out on like the cool interaction of being able to go like an enemy, summon a water, and then link both off to make Zealantis, and then I banish the whole field, and none of the monsters can come back because none of their monsters are water. So I feel like so I don't want to lose that play, but maybe the Access Code route is better. I don't know. I'm still playing around with it, but yeah. So that's the extra deck at the moment. And then real quick over to the side, this is the day before the ban list goes into effect, so some of the stuff will change. But Kaijus were here for Pearly. I didn't face any Pearly, and this probably just goes post ban list. Nibs were here for just like random decks I have to deal with. Salmon Great, which is heavy at my locals, and then just combo if I want extra cards. I also really like Nib when I'm going first because Nib is like the best insurance card you have. That and Droll, where like if your opponent tries to play in your board, if you have Nib or Droll, it's just it just feels like a losing battle for them to play through you. Nib more than Droll actually, and then 2 Bells because there's Labyrinth and Drytron that hits them, so we play that. I was playing 2 Veilers because the 2 Veilers with the 3 Imperms. I wanted all those targeting negates for Rescue Ace, but now that the Imperms have left the main deck, I don't really know how the side looks. Maybe the Veilers leave and I just put the 3 Imperms in the side. I haven't really gone over that yet. Let's see. 1 Pankratops. Just a generic good card versus a lot of decks, versus Flu, versus Salad, versus any back row decks. It's just a good going second card. And so I'm only playing one of this because the day before the ban list. The second copy was a call by that I switched in last second, just so I had something that was legal. And yeah, call by. I mean, I think I maybe saw it one time. Never really came up. And it's just the thing about call by. It almost just feels like it's not worth playing just because you can't consistently expect to open it. But then you need to respect hand traps and Drolls so badly that I probably do need to find a spot to at least play call by. And so yeah, so. Call by was just kind of here. I never actually saw I don't think either of these 2 cards, so they're just there, and they're one ofs, but the Pank will be more relevant because we'll get 2 of starting today as I upload this. And then just some back row hate, Lightning Storm Harpy. Yeah, nothing crazy here. No decks that actually came up playing against. Well, I did actually put in Harpy and Lightning Storm versus a Salmon Great player that. So there were a couple matches I wasn't able to get recorded, and that was Salmon Great. And I had matches against my buddy who was preparing and playing Blackwings, and there was also a Orcus Horus game I had gotten that I wasn't able to record, and so I need to work on getting more of these games in, especially more matches with better decks, because I felt like the matches I got in at this locals just felt like they weren't too relevant for the channel and too relevant for the testing of this deck, but it's still good practice, and I'm still learning a lot, and I felt like this locals helped me a lot kind of figure out what's not necessary in my deck. And so the main takeaways I did get was this deck needs to be 40. No, there's no ifs, ands, or about it. This deck needs to be 40. It needs to be as consistent as possible, and the scale, as much as I want to play, as much as I want to give Megalo a target, I don't know. I think it definitely just has to go to the side deck. It just felt really bad. And not playing the Fenrir's was a huge mistake. The Fenrir's needed to be in the main deck. And another card I do want to try and test with is Droplet. Droplet feels like another really good card, but I just haven't tested it yet. And maybe the Droplets come in the main deck instead of the Ashes. So maybe I main deck 3 Droll, 3 Droplet, and 3 Fenrir's. That doesn't sound too bad. But then my hand trap count just goes down, and Ash is an amazing card. And then it's like, well, what do I do with Ash Blossom? Does it go in the side deck? Does it just leave the deck altogether? I don't know. I don't know. So we're still working on it. Obviously, the deck changes in February, but I'll still be going to locals once or twice a week, and I'll be trying to get some more feature matches. I'm just keep playing Water, and I'm try and record all my games and just keeping these uploaded. And then you just keep working on it, and eventually we're gonna take this bitch to a fucking regional, and we're gonna get a freaking maybe we're gonna try to get like an X3 record, X2 record. That's the goal, at least with the deck at the moment. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Yeah, all right. Thanks. Peace.